If any of you guys don't like my super bright face cam, well, you're welcome. I'm recording this really late at night. So I've been sitting here for about 10 minutes just trying to figure out what I want to talk about in this video. And I didn't want to do anything, anything super related to Wiz. I didn't want to do a PvP video. I didn't want to do anything like that. And so I was just sort of thinking of what I could possibly talk about that you guys would even care about in the slightest. And yeah, well, I couldn't really think of anything. So I thought instead, do I really need to fight a boss right now? Yeah, so I guess really the only thing to talk about when you have nothing to talk about is it's just to blow your guys' mind just a little bit. So, it's always fun to do that. Or at least maybe some of you guys. Some of you guys might already know what I'm talking about, but for some of you guys who've never heard of this theory before, you might find it, I don't know, interesting, something like that. So yeah, I'm not trying to make you guys rethink your entire lives. I'm not really even saying that this is true. It hasn't obviously been proven. You can't prove it, but I actually personally do believe in it pretty strongly, but you guys can have your own opinions. What I'm actually talking about is the theory that we're actually living right now in a computer simulation. Did my pet just the god. Something you guys should know before I say anything else is I love philosophy and I love weird ass theories. I don't know, it's just interesting to me. I hate thinking conventionally. I love shit that just, I love anything that honestly brings up something. Okay, is that really necessary? Was that really necessary to cheat like that, buddy? Was that really necessary? Yeah, anyways, more onto this theory of computer simulation. Basically, it comes down to, there's a couple different arguments for it. There's different people that have come up with different arguments for it, but at the core of it, from what I understand, and obviously, I'm not an expert on this, guys. Alright, I'm 16, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but from what I understand, it basically comes down to probability. As of right now, there's no plausible way that we could ever prove whether we are or whether we aren't. Now that's actually part of it. It's you can't prove that we're not living in a computer simulation, because the thing is it's possible to simulate consciousness. It's possible to simulate consciousness, like us. It's possible to actually simulate consciousness, and what I mean is that at the core of it, it's really just a bunch of yes or no decisions. Basically, our brains are like computers, and at the core of it, it's just binary. It's yes or no, and so you can technically simulate consciousness. And so there's literally nothing in our world that could not be simulated in theory, of course. In theory. And so what it really comes down to is sort of a probability, and saying that, well, we don't know for sure if we are, but if we look at just a simple scenario, we can see that it's actually a lot more probable that we are living in a simulation than if we aren't. Now, before I get into this little probability thing, I just want to bring out something that's sort of crazy. Now, given I'm not some crazy scientist, so I don't really know a lot about this stuff. I don't fully understand all of these crazy theories, but basically there's this thing called error correcting code. It's used in a lot of things. It's used when you send an email to make sure that there's not errors. To explain it simply, when you send an email, it doesn't send like you see the email. The aesthetic that you see is a lot different than the actual code in the email, but basically there's error correcting code that makes sure that your email doesn't get set up so you actually get the right characters and the right letters and the right numbers to the other person, so it actually makes sense. It's not really that complicated. I'm just really bad at explaining stuff sometimes, but you guys can look that up if you're interested in learning more about it. That's not really what's important. What's crazy, and I can't remember exactly what the area or the word of this is, but basically they found traces of error correcting code, or stuff that resembles error correcting code, in parts of the universe, right? And I realize how abstract that sounds, and it's because I honestly can't remember exactly what the name of it was. But basically, some scientists made some discoveries about some laws and stuff in the universe, and what they discovered resembled error correcting code. And so if we were living in a simulation, obviously everything would be coded, and so it would make sense that there would be code in our universe, because at the core of it, it would be a simulation. It would be coded. So there's that. That's just sort of a side thing. You guys can ponder and do whatever you do with that information. So yeah, I've sort of just dug myself into a pretty big wormhole. I mean, this conversation could go on forever, and I have a lot of stuff to say. I'm just going to try to keep this. I don't want to make this video super long because, But let me just give you guys something to ponder, right? So imagine that we're 20 years in the future, right? And we come up with the technology that's possible to simulate us in the past. So basically Sim City, but on steroids, and it's a very realistic simulation. And now imagine that 10 years after that, in 2060, we're able to give that to consumers, and that's like a super easy thing, because if you know about how processing power has increased recently, it's totally plausible that could actually exist in less time than that. And so now you basically have these simulations that are being run by people, and there's tons of them being run. And now here's the real kicker, is that those simulations then advance to construct their own simulations within those simulations, right? All right, bear with me, all right? Bear with me. And so what happens is it's sort of like that tree diagram, you know, like the tree where there's like 2, and then there's 4, and then there's 8, and it keeps sprouting off, and it keeps sprouting off, and then before you know it, you go from like 2 to like 200 million. And it's really not even that long before it gets to a really, really high number. And so what's crazy, if you think about that, it's like, all right, there's one real world, and there's trillions of simulated worlds. The possibility that we're actually living in the real world is like non-existent. I mean, it's like 1 in trillions, and that's not even like a possibility. And once again, what I'm saying right here is pretty abstract. There's actually a lot more concrete studies that have gone into this. If you guys are interested, you can look up more. I'll give you guys a warning. You can sort of dig yourself into a little bit of a wormhole. There's some people out there that, you know, you can base it off science, or you can really get into some conspiracy theories that have very little evidence behind them. So I'll warn you guys of that. But if you are interested, I mean, I was just interested in it, so I just read a bunch of stuff about it. But there's tons of stuff out there. It's actually like a pretty well-known theory. I mean, most of you guys, I doubt, have probably heard of it before, but it's actually pretty well-known theory, and I just think it's interesting. So all right, say we're living in a computer simulation, right? Like, okay, that's cool. That's, you know, that's awesome. Knowing that we live in a computer simulation right now doesn't, you know, make us change our life. Like, oh, I'm living in a computer simulation, I have superpowers now. Like, no, this is just not how it works. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's just not how it works. But what's really interesting is not how it affects us now, but how it affects our future, right? Like, I'm not trying to spark some religious debate or anything, but like, think about it, right? If we're living in a computer simulation, like, what happens after you die? You know, like, maybe you just stop existing, or maybe the guy who made the simulation wanted to screw with people and like created heaven. So now that you die in the simulation, you could either just, you know, stop existing and your consciousness just, you know, just stops. Or like something else happens. Maybe the guy that constructed the simulation wanted to mess with people, and now they go on to level 2, right? This is level. Hell, maybe this is level 3, right? Maybe we're already in level 3. Maybe we already went past level 1 and 2. We're in level 3 right now. Maybe we go on to level 4. Maybe life is just a giant video game, and we're just in one stage of the video game. All right? You don't know anything. All right? Don't listen to what I'm saying, guys. Anyway, I think that is enough ranting for today. Hope you guys enjoy. I know this is a little bit of an abstract video, but if you guys enjoy and you want to hear me talk about more conspiracy theories, trust me, I have a lot more I can talk about. So if you guys want to see more, be sure to let me know. Other than that, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please feel free to leave a like. And if you did enjoy, I'll catch y'all in my next video.
You got me like, whoa. Got me like, whoa. Got me like, whoa. Got me like, ooh. Got me like, woo. Whoa. You got me like, woo. You got me like, whoa. You got me like, whoa. Got me like, whoa, yeah. You got me like, whoa, got me like, ooh, yeah. Patiently posted, make no mistake.